Then what very personal thing
No,
happened?
we're pausing.
I'm not pausing.
Everybody.
This is working.
Hi, people. Oh, let's.
You know what? Is it possible for there to be people immediately upon it turning on? Can people like sit idly?
Because they get a notification, I think, that says like, "Hey, we're."
My point is, you can keep
Hey,
saying
there
all
we
the
are.
very personal stuff we're talking about.
No, I'm not gonna. We're not playing a game.
Alright.
They can all see your wallet too. So just want to make sure there's no personal information sticking around.
Yeah, his PIN number is written on the wallet. Be aware.
Yay!
What you're seeing in the bottom of your screen down there.
They don't care about
Oh, look,
this.
people are there.
Oh yeah.
Look at them.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, look at that.
Hi everyone, welcome to the live stream Q&A. We were a little bit later than we promised, but that will be the last live
shit.
that we
We
do.
are.
Comment questions. Hello Eli Armstrong. Hello Thomas Moore. Hello Nicholas Mole. Hello John Cripps. I'm not gonna do this forever.
I just gotta say, I would not
Yeah.
wait 10 minutes. Like 5 minutes in, I would have been like, I guess they're
I'm
doing
done.
it.
I'm
It's
done with
internet.
this.
So thank you very much. I would not have stuck around.
Why is the camera so low? First question of the day.
That's great.
It's we're filming with a camera phone, and it's difficult to. We don't have a stand for it, and there's
No.
4 of us that were trying to get in a shot, and
We just didn't prepare for this at all. This is
Also,
big.
the chairs have very wide bases,
That's
so
why
we're
it
huddled
was-
as close as we can.
We're
This is
staggered.
someone says the low angle shot gives them power over us. That's true.
Yes.
I wanted some Last Supper symbology.
Hello
Yeah,
from
we probably
South
should all do
Georgia.
a profile.
I don't think
along
in
the
the
table.
real Last Supper profile, my face would be obscured by your hand.
Is it?
You are Jesus in this situation.
Oh wow!
So-
I'll just let that hang there for a while.
I don't know if you guys have seen today's episode of After Hours. It was written by Soren. Soren, do you want to talk about it at all?
Yeah, so this one's about Professor X in the X-Men, and it occurred to me not long ago that he's got this entire team of weaponized kids that he's teaching in his school, but then all of them graduate into his army, and what a weird thing that is.
Right? No one uses their powers to become a civil engineer.
No,
Or like anything. It's not a school. It's an ISIS cell.
and how weird it is that he's in the middle of that war between humans and mutants. But he's not winning by any stretch of the imagination. He's preventing things for long periods of time, but ultimately, he's never creating a real peace between humans and mutants. And so he's not doing a very good job. And I was like, I wonder if that's not intentional. I wonder if he's
Sure.
intentionally not doing a good job.
Yeah, which is a good interpretation, and I have seen in the comments a few people point out something that, or the big counter argument is that X-Men is an analog for the civil rights struggle.
Yeah.
And I get that, but then it falls apart because randomly mutating into something that has a random supernatural power is so different from having a different skin color, which is arbitrary to your life. Or I mean, is not, unfortunately, but should be. But like, everyone randomly mutating at puberty to a different crazy power is so vastly different from wanting equal rights that I don't... It's really hard to make the X-Men plot actually work as it was intended. Like, it was intended to bring up those themes, but if you try to map it to them,
Yeah, no,
it
doesn't
falls
work.
apart.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing, yeah.
I also want the X-Men or the mutants in this universe who want nothing to do with either side of the skirmish. Because it's always like, these guys were lost and they turned to the Brotherhood of Magneto's evil mutants, and these guys got schooling, so they went with Professor Xavier to make the world a better place. And there are some that are just like, I'll donate, but I just don't care. I'm not gonna use my powers to fight or do anything. Like I still.
Yeah, it seems like if you're a
Job
mutant,
and-
you're not allowed to not use your powers.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't you just chill and have a normal life? And they're like, well, you gotta pick a side in this struggle, man. We have your suit made already. I already have a protocol to murder you should the need arise.
Are there questions for us?
There are a few, yes. One of them, someone says, I'm writing as many as I can, but the thing just keeps scrolling.
Okay.
What's on the front of your hat? Nothing. It is a legally safe hat that I can wear in every video that we do, so we don't have to worry
They're
about the security
called
logo.
movie hats.
Someone said drinking on the job. A lot of people ask if we're day drinking. These are coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Are people wanting us to spill our coffee again?
Yes.
Yeah,
Joel Scott
okay.
White said knock the coffee on the table. That's something that I didn't realize.
This is
So,
now a recurring
last time we
bit.
did this, people kept saying knock Dan's coffee down, knock it off the table, and I didn't realize until afterwards that no one believed there was anything in this, like, because that's how movies goes, that they're always empty. This has definitely got coffee in it. I'm not going to spill it on the table, but
Yeah.
no one knock it over. Because
Why would we bother with, like, movie magic in this low-ass shot live stream? Yeah, I'm like,
It's all CG.
I need a little bit of business to answer questions. I figured I'd have a mind cup.
How long do episodes take to record? That question came to us from Kenny in Chattanooga. I didn't write down any of the names or places. We shoot 3 episodes over the course of 8 hours.
Yeah.
It's an overnight shoot, so they take longer to do by the end of the night when we're a little bit punchier and more tired. And like, I don't want to complain about my job because some people are children who work in coal mines probably, and they have actual hard jobs.
They're not watching this though, so you
No.
Right.
have to account for
They're
Yeah,
that.
they don't have an internet connection.
There's
But
no Wi-Fi down there.
There's something really crazy and maddening about a full day's work here, my office job at Crack, and then staying up all night long to record these episodes. By 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I just can't. You can't memorize words anymore. We're usually all pretty good at memorization,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, the bloopers, such as they are me staring at words and saying them over and over and over again, putting it down, and immediately just not having them in my head.
And meaning nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have to shoot at night because this is we have to close down the diner in order to shoot. You can't just shoot with real people there because there'd be way too much noise. And we get 2 shots for everything. There's always the shot of Katie and Michael, and then we turn the world around and we get the shots of.
You've seen the show.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people were like, "Where's the camera? How
Oh
do I
yeah,
see the camera?"
someone
But-
posted, "How can you film this? Wouldn't the 2 cameras see each other?" It's like, we
It's
take
2 different
turns.
shots. And-
Voila!
Yeah, we're doing 3 episodes a night. It's always a lot harder in the summer because it gets darker later, so we have to wait around until it gets dark, and then we shoot into the early morning till like 3 or 4. In the winter, it's a little bit better, but we're doing 3 episodes a night, and these are big episodes, and it's a lot of just monologues.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of us memorizing things.
Although, and the first episode we ever shot, we did 1 episode in 8 hours. So, and then it escalated to 2 and now 3. And there's been murmurs of shooting 4 in a night, but no one's had the balls
I've
to
not
try it
heard
yet.
these murmurs.
Well, there's people who occasionally go like, I don't
Oh my
know, could
gosh.
you just shoot 9 and we won't have to shoot for a long time.
Yeah.
No.
One of our directors has said, just build a set, take a week, do 12, and then we don't have to do it.
And
for
I
a year.
have to say, the ability just to shoot in the daytime would change everything. But I still don't know that our set would be as authentic as a fully stocked diner.
Yeah.
I like that background.
Yeah.
What else?
We got, do you enjoy writing or acting more? Writing. Acting sucks. It's a job for losers. It's not a good job. It's not a hard
Let's all
job.
go around.
That's why
Shit on
it's
our
one of the
friends.
only jobs that we legally allow children to do.
I like the writing, but I like the acting better. I like being on the set and
Freudian
being
slip,
the
he likes
loser.
the writing.
Being, it's a lot more fun to be. Once everything's already done. I guess I do like writing the episodes as well, but once everything's already set in stone, then you can really have fun and like start to like explore like what you're gonna add to it, what you can make it, because the foundation's already there. It's much more daunting to just stare at a blank page and have to build the foundation.
Yeah, I started primarily performing and then wrote my first episodes last year, I think. It took me a long time to be like comfortable enough with the format and with like myself to be able to write these episodes. And so I always loved performing, but there is something really fun for me in writing of structuring the episode, like actually writing the script, going like, okay, what is my topic? What are the 4 arguments for everybody? What are the examples within those arguments? And then kind of putting them on note cards and piecing them into like the flow of the episode. And then by the time I get to writing, it's fun because I know everybody's vibe and how they talk. And so writing those jokes, that part's a little easier once you like have all the arguments figured out.
I like acting on stage the best, even though I also have crippling stage fright, but it's a paradox. Then I would say writing, then probably editing footage, and then acting for film. It's not unpleasant, and I appreciate the moments that my fellow cast and I find, but I agree with Daniel that it's for losers. I just mean, acting for film is incredibly technical and a lot of waiting and not being master of what's going on, which you shouldn't be. you have to be there to be like a pinch runner who can go in and be the useful tool at any moment. But I can't handle that. I like to be on the crew side where people tell you what's going on and what we're shooting next. And
it's also so boring.
It's so boring.
Like we shot something Saturday for a different endeavor from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and it's a scene with 6 funny people in a room being really funny, and there are jokes in the scene, and there are jokes that we add, and we rehearse a few times, and it's so fun. It's really joyful. And then you're doing those same exact words over and over again, and then you just hate them. It's just
and
not
the 30th
funny.
time,
I'm completely over this. Like I'd be over this as if I had seen the same movie over and over again in rapid succession.
A thing we didn't bring up yet, Michael edited this episode as well. So this episode is entirely in-house.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, everyone who made it's right here except.
Ooh, do you guys ever feel like you're contributing to a culture that is hyper-obsessed with reality? I get that After Hours is still in good fun, but they're so well-researched and funny. Still, I'm sick of all the discussions I hear about whether something would happen in real life, overtaking, and then the question was gone. I like that
that's a good question.
I certainly look at the internet a lot and see people who've taken what we do, and we didn't invent it, other cultural critics have done, what Klosterman has done, taking something very seriously to its logical extremes. I've seen people take that and butcher it, whether they're being just like, no, you didn't come up with a theory, you just watched the movie and got what the movie was about. You didn't bring anything to the table. Or people who I do feel can be oversensitive, like they're trying to...
Yeah.
We always look at what is interesting about something, interesting and surprising. We don't look for why it's bad. We're not out to ruin things. And I think a lot of people are like, especially when it's something that we all like. It's like, well, how can I make it that Captain America is a racist and a murderer of children?
Yeah. Which we do our fair share
Sure.
of, but not exclusively.
Right.
I think we always put an accent on a conversation that we would like to have. So the first goal is that it would be, that interpretation is interesting. I don't care if it's necessarily real, and I think in many cases, and I think commenters who I guess don't get it or get it but not all the way will reply, Joss Whedon's universes aren't interconnected. He just writes about similar themes in every movie because he's an artist who's concerned with those themes. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
We thought it would be a fun interpretation of that to present this fun video. So I think I've seen places where I think they obsess too much about, like, the goal is actually, like, what was George Lucas thinking on that day? And we do, especially on the article side, where you're more concerned, like, if you're interviewing someone who's remaining anonymous because they've led this traumatic life, obviously your first goal is to present their story fairly. But on the video side, our first goal is to make a funny video. And I think the reality obsession can go too far when people just equate hits to knocking shit down, and then that becomes their goal.
They found these tablets in Scandinavia that were these stone tablets.
Where's he going with this?
Like, they thought this was like this ancient Viking writing, and they were like really trying to determine they're breaking the code of it and trying to translate it. And they had what they thought it meant and everything like that. And a lot of people kind of disagreed on what they thought it meant. And then, like centuries later, they found out that these were just caused by nature, and it's not actual writing, and it's just bullshit that was on some flat stones.
It's a pattern that happened to look like organized for randomly.
So that's what I'm most excited about. We're trying to find these patterns or these things in pop culture that do actually make sense, and there's this weird organization that just happened miraculously.
Yeah. But in most cases, the artist didn't intend it.
That's
you
what we
don't
want.
care about that.
Right.
That's what I want. I want it to be, if it was never the intent, if it was just random, but it comes across as cohesive and becomes a real thing, then I like it.
And often that will take the guise of, I would say it's one of like the 5 logic tricks to get there is if you brutally add all the strictures of real life, does anything interesting happen?
Right.
But that's not the same as saying what I do is put fictional things in real life context and point out how they're bullshit. Because I do think the internet does that in some places to an extreme where you're like, let me enjoy the movie, I get it, it's bullshit, I know it's fake, there's no Iron Man, I'm aware.
I was having a conversation similarly about this, which was that I think that the new trend that has come out is people doing a similar thing like with their friends, but arguing in a really like I know the truth. Oh, you need to eat. Your stomach's just growing.
I don't know if
I have
that
to work
carried
through
on
my
the
own
mic.
shower.
Yeah.
Sorry. But that thing of
We bitch a lot.
everybody is kind of my point is right, and people being very like hard and fast about these ideas that they have. And what I love about After Hours is we always concede to someone. You know what I mean? There's always that mutual respect of like, yeah, we all have different perspectives, and so all of our arguments are going to be different. But nobody's ever saying, well, you're fucking stupid because mine's right, which I appreciate.
Next question.
Yep. There's a couple. I'm going to throw out some silly ones. Just somebody just wrote, direct quote, DOB pretty much looks the same.
Yeah.
No context for that. Just looks the same.
The whole
An
time.
adult Charlie Brown.
Soren
Yeah,
Soren is 800 years old from old Denmark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Someone in like a French
True.
market.
This
I thought that no one would catch on to that Easter egg, but I guess someone noticed.
Yep.
The devious set of clues we've left in every episode of After Hours, hinting at Soren's age.
This is an intriguing thought that I want to give credit to. It's fun from a guy named Sved. Could Magneto lift Thor's hammer?
No! Someone also commented that Magneto has power over gravity. Is that true?
Nope.
Comic book nerd?
No,
They said metal and
metal.
gravity.
Yeah. Well, if there's
I
no,
thought
only
it
if
was
there's
metal.
metal.
I mean,
in it,
his
yeah.
name is Magnet O. Assumed it was metal.
Crack fan Little Adam Ganzer says, I hear overnight shooting is bullshit.
That's got to be Adam.
Adam.
Hi, Adam.
Adam is the one who directed this episode.
Yeah,
he's,
so-
he's agreeing that shooting overnight is.
If his quality bar were lower, we wouldn't have to stay up so late. It's his fault that the shows are high quality.
Can Brazil get a shout out? Yes, Brazil. Hello, Brazil.
Hi, Brazil.
Hello,
would love to
Brazil.
visit you.
Brazil.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Brazil.
This is a question that we've answered before, but also is the most common question, so I feel like they'll do it a service by doing it again.
Mhm.
How different are you guys from your
Where
cousins?
do you get your ideas?
We've answered
Who's
that
gonna
question.
say the answer?
We've answered that
we all
question
know?
before. It's a really boring one, but it comes up a lot, and I
answer.
respect that people are interested in it.
Yeah. I just want to know who's going to do the spiel.
I
It's a
think,
fine
yeah.
spiel.
Everyone is. We've heightened a bunch of bad qualities that Michael doesn't actually have. He's so good at playing stupid and loud and bass that.
It's true.
And as a result, we can't let him be as eloquent and thoughtful and kind as he is in real life. Unfortunately.
Sorry, it's flashing in a weird way, and we're wondering.
Your connection's weak. Well, as long as people are still getting
Yeah.
it.
Can you see us? Hi.
Yeah, start commenting if we're chopping up or you can't hear the audio.
And Soren is also like the show wouldn't work if we did a show about four people who are very good friends and really kind and supportive
Right.
of each other.
Have their quirks, but are relatively normal and really like each other.
Yeah, I'm
And
not.
constantly go, oh, that is a good point. Good job.
I'd say what's most honest about the show is that we are all friends. Like we would all hang out in our free time.
Yeah.
And the characteristics that we have are characteristics that everybody has. We're just parsing them out and saying this is all this person has,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
makes them more two-dimensional than a real person. But we're all really good friends outside of this, and these are people I would choose to hang out with on the weekends.
I'm not as mean to Dan in real life as I am on the show. I don't think I could be mean to Dan.
No one is as
Yeah.
mean to Dan.
And I
as they
think
are in the show.
the areas we chose to exaggerate were based more on the kinds of senses of humor we have as performers and the things we knew we would do in performance, more than like ourselves.
Right.
Although yours a little bit, I think, is tied into the persona you were cultivating on the column at the time, which you've since abandoned.
Yeah, those two things were intertwined. The column voice writing about awkwardness and dealing with that, and the sort of character that emerged from this, it just became a thing that like I could do and make sense. Yeah, and like as we're sitting around coming up with what characters make sense for us to play, I also know what I look like and sound like. That it would be weird. Like I'd be like, I think Soren, you're like the librarian, and I'm like this guy who just who fucks just like constantly partying and like crushing beer on my head. Yeah, like it makes slightly more sense that I.
Yeah,
We
each
did
one of
it in
us-
AOC, but in After Hours we have yet to do the episode where all the actors adopt each other's mannerisms.
AMC is Agents of Crack. That's a
Sorry.
series that
Yeah.
we did on Crack
Like a decade
several
ago
years
now.
ago, 2008.
Yeah.
But we all know, we're all well aware of what we play the best, and we're steering into that skid. And so, whether or not those are real characteristics of ours,
No range here.
it doesn't necessarily matter as much as we're just really good at these particular things. So, why
And I
should
think
we-
that's probably true of people who highlight writing a little over performing, right? You'll end up performing towards the writing versus like, I think someone whose main passion is acting might want to cultivate their range and try all these different personae, like Orphan Black style. But we're very much into the concepts and the ideas themselves. So we sort of settled into a groove of like, this character works. I see no reason to change that.
Quick answers. Other than on writing my Stephen King writing books,
It's Drunk and White.
Oh, shit.
Bird by Bird by Anna Mott.
Bird by Bird was one of my two. Yeah, Bird by Bird and naked playwriting. You don't need to want to write plays to still get really great lessons from there. And the best writing books is probably just read constantly and figure out what you like about them.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mhm.
I'm gonna keep
Give
mine
me
to
with another
myself because
easy
I
one.
don't want
Favorite
to
brand
give
of soft
people
drink?
tips.
Oh, Dr. Pepper.
Surge,
Hands down.
Surge,
I'll,
it's huge.
Surge.
Surge Cola.
Where do you even get that anymore?
I had a bunch of flats FedEx to me, and I'm
They
Wow.
working through them.
They just like a year or two ago they
Uh-huh.
reprinted it. Like they made
Yeah.
more Surge briefly and gross.
Oh.
I got like
Well, I
30
won't
fucking
sell my
cans.
Surge
Yeah, it's
future.
gross. It's really
Diet
bad.
cherry Coke from the fountain.
Mm.
You can swing it.
Tasseling.
Not a soda drinker.
Surge is the second
Actually-
we a dollar coin.
I actually don't drink
Prob-
soda,
probably
is the real answer, but that's
Barks
a
root beer to go back to my soda.
Root, oh,
Yeah.
an actually brewed root beer at like a brewery where they also brew beer, but they have a root beer. It's always so ridiculously good.
How many of you guys are metalheads?
Adam, the
Adam
answer,
Garrison. Yeah.
who is not present, likes metal. That's one.
But you
Sorry.
know, we party, so.
Yeah.
We party very. I actually, at my homecoming dance sophomore year, headbanged to Bohemian Rhapsody and threw my neck out so bad that I couldn't
no.
turn my head the next day.
No.
That's Queen. Queen doesn't count.
I know,
Yeah.
but I was headbanging.
I like
That counts
Metalocalypse.
for something.
Next
I have a
And-
crush on Nathan
That's
Explosion.
great. The fictional character Nathan
Yes, I do.
A few people have asked if we've ever thought about doing after hours with different actors, different characters, and yes, we have. We've been thinking about it quite a bit. I don't think we would ever stop doing this show with the four of us, certainly, but in, purely in the interest of giving more after hours to the world, we would introduce it.
Although I did
a second
lobby
group
to
and-
replace myself with Cody for a run of episodes. Mainly because I'd be interested in seeing an After Hours episode. Like, it's-
Cody Johnson
I've
is
never
another-
watched an After Hours episode that I didn't
Right.
already read 150 times.
There-
Soren, you're saying?
Cody Johnson is a writer performer for Cracked. You've seen him in a couple of the episodes. He also used to do a lot of the after effects for the episodes.
Scott Bug.
Yeah.
He's always look at all the season 1 and season 2. He's always in the background. He's the chef.
He's always there in spirit.
Yeah,
He's the
and
fifth.
he
wheel.
writes a lot of the episodes as well. So Cody is a huge part of After Hours. Yeah, we would do maybe other people at a different table. I don't think it would be as obvious as like in Roseanne, where they just replaced a Becky all of a sudden.
Right.
Where one of us is just different, no one acknowledges it.
Katie
But,
Stoll playing Katie Lang.
Oh god.
but
We have the same birthday.
we would do maybe just another table at the same diner, or they go somewhere. Who knows what other people do?
But yeah, I'd love to see Carmen in there. I'd love to see Alex in there.
Yeah.
We've also sometimes bounced around the idea if there's ever the bandwidth. Because people do still, and we're happy, say, I would watch After Hours every 2 weeks instead of every
Yeah.
month. Then we're like, well, we're big enough of a team now that if we could have a second unit running also After Hours, different diner, different people, and that could be fun. So that might happen. I could see that
Cool.
happening.
What are your
Sorry.
middle names?
Matthew.
And
Scott.
Joseph Nicholas. I almost said Daniel.
Daniel.
Matthew and Scott sounds like a name. I like that.
Oh, it's A-N-N, not A-N-N-E. That makes a difference.
Doesn't.
It does.
To your stalkers, yeah.
Yeah.
Now they know what to carve into your door.
No, don't come to my house.
does Star from SourceBed work here? Yeah, Star is the illustrator for Katie's Brain.
I love
in,
her.
She's incredible.
that, and she is the waitress now in a couple of episodes, and just did a cracked response to Game of Thrones shoot with me this morning, so you'll be seeing more of her.
I think she represents the only turnover in the entire history of After Hours. Shout out to Brett Hermholtz, who did the Gorley-esque illustrations that we started with Katie, but I think we love Star's stuff.
The tragic irony of a shout out where you get a person's name wrong.
Brett
That's her.
Herholtz.
Herholtz.
There's
There's no
M
M.
in there.
I dropped an
Sorry,
M in there. Sorry, Brett.
Are there
But
any
I'm
pop
a fan.
culture topics that are off limits for After Hours?
We don't do
Yeah.
books.
We don't do books, but that's not like
That's not a topic.
less
I guess.
off. Like it's
There's just nothing to throw
it's
to
a
with a
good
book.
good
Peter
thing.
Pan, the Peter Pan episode was kind of an experiment in books because even though there has been a movie, it largely focused on evidence from the book. Worst viewed episode ever, so no more books.
But as far as topics goes, I mean, if we can make it funny and interesting and bring something new to it, I don't think there's anything that we would
Sure.
stay
There's
away
no
from.
list that we have like.
Uh,
I don't think.
Actual celebrity culture I never want to get into,
Right.
Yeah.
hopefully. Like if we're ever talking about an actual real world people and their relationship, that's what I wouldn't want to see. I don't need analysis of any aspect of pop culture other than fictional narratives. That's what I want.
Makes sense.
There should be more females and diversity in After Hours. Agreed.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're with you.
Who likes Devo?
I
I've seen them several times. Their final or most recent, I say final because the guitarist
do. Yeah.
died, but
it's not, we're gonna be-
so good, such a good album. They've managed to push the art form and kick ass and invent new sounds, but also sound like themselves for however many decades, and it's insane. And their albums, as well as their whole career, have a unifying artistic concept. Mark Mothersbaugh is the fucking shit.
Yes.
Devo's amazing.
I got to see them in concert in 2010 from backstage in San Diego, and it was one of the most amazing shows I have ever seen in my entire life. And did you know, if anybody knows the small indie film Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is like amazing and hilarious and great, Mark Mothersbaugh did the music for it.
Nice.
Did
And the
we-
Rugrats theme.
And
the
the
Rugrats
Rugrats
theme,
theme, and Sewer Shark, an old Sega CD game.
Oh, that was a great
What
game.
is your
I saw
favorite-
them with Reggie Watts.
Ooh.
That was a good show.
What is your favorite Devo song?
I can't do that. Don't do that. Beautiful.
Are you guys going to
Oh,
apologize for
God.
the degradation of the
Sorry.
website? No.
Are we what now?
Are we going to apologize for the degradation of the website?
Apologize.
No. Get a life, you weak-chinned loser.
I bet he's an actor.
I'm so angry.
I don't even. It could be a man or woman. I have no idea what
I
the-
get where the feeling comes from. Like,
Ugh.
I recently wrote an After Hours about The Simpsons, and because of that, have been getting to talk a little bit with Mike Rice, one of the creative forces who's been at The Simpsons since the beginning. And because of that, I've been watching all the new seasons, like the seasons that we love to shit on. And I actually am using my detached comedy mind to analyze them, and I have to say, like, there's still a high density of very well crafted jokes.
Right.
And I realize it's the same with Will Ferrell. Like, there's a thing with humor that you can only imbibe so much of it because it's based on surprise. And I fully expect eventually for there to be segments of the audience who wander off to find some new comedian because our style of comedy is no
Doesn't
longer
suit
like hitting
them
that nerve center in their
anymore.
brain. But you don't have to flip and be like, I don't know. I really think it's on you, which is a stupid thing to say because you're the creator, and I'm constantly striving to embrace feedback and improve. But I do think there's a segment of people where it's like, if it's not funny for you anymore, stop watching it, but that's okay.
Right.
You can go away and stop watching it.
Are there any- I didn't think we were going to get that much mileage out of that throwaway question. Are there any topics you hate discussing? I get really irrationally mad if there's something that I don't understand. And I have a pretty deep well of pop culture knowledge of stuff that I've consumed, and just like being on the periphery of things, I can fake my way through a lot. Lord of the Rings is not one. That's one.
Dan has
And
never seen any of the Lord of the
never
Rings.
seen Lord of the Rings
And-
or read the books, and that's like
Is it
a,
true of Harry Potter, too?
it's true of Harry Potter too. But Lord of the Rings is a deep bench of people and rules that I don't know or understand. Like I could tell you what Harry Potter's about tomorrow. Lord of the Rings mostly no, and also video games, I am not a video game person. And we've done 2 episodes, Lord of the Rings and video games, where I'm so frustrated because I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying, and I don't want to learn it either. Which is like,
well, you nailed it, man.
I'm really quick to
Tell.
I like learning things and see everything. But Lord of the Rings, I can't remember a character's name. And it was like, well, I don't know it because it's stupid. And if it was better,
It's like
I'd know
learning
it.
something in a foreign language phonetically at some point. When you're saying all these names from The Matrix, like if you haven't seen
The
The
Matrix
Matrix, you
is
don't know
the
what the
best.
fuck you're talking about.
Daniel
I like-
was so mad throughout the entire writer's room of the Matrix episode, just like arms crossed.
Yeah, but there's a weird superpower I think you develop as a comedy writer, especially if you're lucky enough / stressed enough to work at a place that constantly demands a lot of content from you. Like I bet SNL writers are like this. I know enough about every topic that, like, I know what the main 3 jokes people in society are making about it.
Of course, yeah.
So even things I've never had any direct contact with, I know the top 3 aspects of it that other comedians have made jokes about. And so in conversations sometimes, someone will be talking about something and I'll go like, oh yeah, observation that everyone's made but with my own little twist on it. And they'll be like, oh, you know that franchise? I love that franchise. I'll be like, actually I'm unfamiliar. I just altered the formula of a Conan joke I heard about it.
I'll say that I hate Doctor Who. I think it's stupid and a kid show.
I think it's all right, but I don't get why people fall into it.
Yeah, I watched a lot of it. I watched a lot of it in preparation to try and like it, and ended up really, really hating it even more. And yeah, maybe I just don't get
The
it.
questions are just going, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
We've mentioned being friends who hang out in real life. What do you talk about in real life? I'll say that before Michael and Katie got here, we had a meeting where we were supposed to come up with pitches for the website, so there are more things for you to look at. And we spent
And complain about the degradation
Right.
of.
We spent the entire hour of that meeting talking about Game of Thrones last night and what we all thought about it. Essentially doing a less scripted version of After Hours
Yeah.
always. Like I want to know who has seen Nice Guys and what they think of it.
I'm dying to. We do occasionally say real stuff to each other, and we are all here for each other when the shit hits the fan and someone has a rough time. But I would say 85% is about shows, movies, and
Yeah.
media. And I think that makes sense. We're gravitated to this job because we're already people who have Netflix constantly running in the background no matter what else we're doing. So we tend to talk about what you see last night, what you think, yeah. Is there an after hours in there? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what anyone looks like or what anyone thinks. Everyone that says your hair looks lovely, Katie.
Oh, yay, thank you. It's way easy. If you're a lady and you want to do this, try it. Hair grows back if you don't like it, but I stick my head under a faucet in the morning. It's great.
Madeline O'Brien asks, Dan, are you my dad?
Who knows?
Who could say?
I mean,
Someone with
entirely
that name,
possible.
I don't want to say his name so people can track him down and find out what he's like and where he lives. Your brother wants to know why you don't call your mom more often.
oh, that's so I mean, I mean to. I'm gonna mean to. I will. I'll call her. It's just
I got a
missed
phone
that-
right here, man. Do it.
Well, I missed her birthday.
No,
and now
the
it's like,
people
now
would
it's weird.
love to hear you wish happy birthday. I'm sure you know her number by heart
Yeah.
because you've called her
What's
enough.
on there?
It's
All right, he's miming right now for the people at home. I'm not gonna pull. This is fake. He's not calling her.
Have you guys ever considered an improv episode? We do
We did one.
whenever we can. We do
yes, the first episode of After Hours was.
we do that. Oh yeah, that's terrible.
Oh, that yeah. Was
Whenever
garbage.
we just got back from Calgary's version of Comic Con, the Calgary Expo is our favorite place to be in the world, and between that and Kamikaze and a couple other events throughout the world in a given year, we do live episodes of After Hours where we workshop a fake episode and then we read scripts of a full episode that's never been seen before. I do want to, at some point, try to do an improv After Hours in that. I want us to not like the very first time we tried doing After Hours, which was garbage, but
But that improv D&D panel we saw.
right, sort of
I
like
highly
that, where
recommend that.
We would say the topic is Game of Thrones. Who do you think's going to win Game of Thrones? Here's your argument, play with it. Here's your, we each get
Debate
we know what it's
team
going to be,
with topics
and then we
we
just
like.
sort of do it for a while and see how that plays.
I would actually love to do an official debate style where a panel of cracked writers judge a panel of cracked writers who get a set time limit and a research period in between and rebuttals, official debate rules. That'd be fun
That
to
would
see.
be fun.
Yeah.
So most of when we do panels, we always do a live version of it, and it goes very, very well. The very first episode when we were deciding what the show was going to be, we did just get a bunch of people in the same room, and we came up with like a hypothetical question, and then everyone riffed on that, and everybody just talks over each other, and it's very, very hard to hear anybody, and it's not great.
I bet if we tried again, though, we'd be better, because we're 4 people who now, not just in the show, but whenever we have to speak publicly, we, before the thing, be like, let's try not to talk over each other. And there's this flow of not interrupting each other that you sort of get, and there's only 4 of us. And when we first tried it, I think there were 7 people talking. So I bet we could improv one now, and it wouldn't sound like garbage.
So Jason, who is David Wong, wrote the longest negative review. He's a very blunt person. He wrote the longest scathing attack on the first After Hours that we did that I've ever heard. And I think he got like, it started with him being like, I can only get 2 minutes into this because it's very difficult to watch and listen to. Which just makes me feel very anxious.
We usually just write
like really
pass.
Like, okay, all right. So this was one of our first on-camera things. Good note. Thank you.
Yeah. And if we don't want to see something, we'll usually just write the word pass in an email. But he wrote like an Amazon-style review of what every failure of the concept was. And I think we can thank his review for the strength of the show today.
Who decides what food is going to be on set? In the beginning, we were very meticulous in our across the page because we wanted to, we're still building the characters, sort of letting everything reflect and inform that. So, Daniel needs to eat chicken fingers in this because that's the kind of very basic, structured person that Daniel is. There's not going to be a lot of frills. It's going to get a chicken finger and a French fry, and also, if I knew that it would be, I wrote chicken fingers a lot because I would be able to predict that I'm going to want to absentmindedly point a chicken finger at someone because that's a funny visual to me. And like Katie's salads were specific, and Michael would bring his food from home. We all would write across the page what makes sense for this character, this episode. And now we have art people, like set decorators. Peter Macaluso is the most recent one, and they decide what's going to be in front of us. And it's like in the X-Men After Hours that's running today here on your very own internet. I have pancakes and there's like an X of syrup on them, so I think
they do a great job. Yeah,
we get excited people who want to sneak in whatever
they're able to hide a lot of Easter eggs. Yeah, because they're all professionals working in the industry all around town. So when you hire them and their main task is just to set up the food for these 4 people and they're going to be there all night, like us, they're bored and they want to spend time doing something. So they're very good and ambitious about well, what's the topic? All right, well, I'm going to get a giant Homer donut then. I love it.
We also used to eat, I think, a lot more in the episode. And I know for me personally, when you're going back and doing another take, it's like one more thing you have to remember is where your fork was for continuity and when you took a bite. So I don't touch my food anymore.
Yeah, and people comment on it, and I hope it doesn't take you out of it too much, because I really think it's a sacrifice we have to make to reality. Because thinking about which line you took a bite of mashed potatoes on at 4 a.m. and the mashed potatoes are cold, it's inhuman. It's not okay to be worrying about that.
We might not be able to answer this question, but I love the idea of it. What do you wish we had asked that we weren't smart enough to actually ask?
It would be great because we can answer by asking the question and then not answer the good question.
Yeah. How did you get started, Craig?
Probably Gamergate question mark. See, I feel like a shithead because people are always, not us, but people always complain about getting the same questions over and over.
I think it would probably.
And then they're like, fine, what question do you want? And we're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I want one of those questions that's a giant sack of money. No one speaks.
It would probably be the question, how does it feel to be the voices of your generation?
Yeah. Is it weird that the Great American Novel was a web series this whole time?
Yeah.
I have a real one. But do that
no. Go ahead.
I absolutely love ruining comedy, and that's another thing we all talk about often, I think. And by which I mean analyzing incredibly minutely the mathematic formulae that underlie jokes. Mm-hmm. And I love any question that prompts me to give a long, boring lecture about why things are funny.
Yeah.
And like, this will elicit laughter in the human specimen for these reasons. I will talk about that endlessly, and people never ask about that because they want comedy to be magic, and it should be, but it's not.
I think
it's
about
a series
that
of tricks.
with jokes. I think about that with writing a lot too. That if I thought there was an audience for it, I'm sure I've mentioned this in a Reddit thread before, that I would do the writer's version of Every Frame a Painting, which is a great YouTube show. You can all watch it.
Analysis.
Like
is
he
so
just
fun.
talks about film editing and decisions that directors make, and I think about why writers have chosen certain things all the time, and I would love to just talk about from a standpoint of efficiency and like look at the patterns that you didn't know were patterns in. I always come back to Malcolm in the Middle because it's such a tightly written show, and I would just like, if anyone will listen, I'll talk to you for 11 minutes about why they did a thing and why it's smart, and you're probably like, I don't need to know that because I watched it and
I just
laughed.
felt that it was
That's
good.
why I know.
yeah. I would. After hours, we always feel the urge to, and I think for good reason, add a twist of like a real world tangibility. Like this would cause this effect in the real world, but I would totally just do a show that boringly goes on about. Today we're going to analyze this movie. There's no twist.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through each scene and tell you what's good about it.
I would maybe do a podcast about writing if that wasn't so self-indulgent, but I'm working on me, Soren, Cody, and Schmitty the Clam each just wrote like a 15-minute short film that we're going to be doing 4 of them for Halloween this year. And it's been a really fun... Spookios, yeah. It's been a really fun writing experiment and very exciting thing. And I just complained about this on my Tumblr that there's a line that you won't be able to answer this without context, but I spent, and I'm still spending time wondering if I Hate Clint also is funnier than I Also Hate Clint. And I just sat there staring at these 2 lines, and I want to like bring it to the team and just talk to someone and explain why.
I read that, and I have so many thoughts about it.
I
It
know.
is context sensitive because if you make it periodic and all the weight is on the word Clint,
It's
it
think
totally
a lot,
affects the next line.
and it's something that I like. My brain will like boil with it forever,
Right.
and I know that the wonderful directors that we get working will say, I mean, first they'll give me here's my opinion of what I think is funnier, but we'll just get both, and then you'll see in editing which you like more.
And they'll also
I don't
say-
want that.
yeah.
I want to know what's right.
They'll also say like, on the day I'll probably go with whichever the actor feels most comfortable saying, and
Yeah.
you're like,
No.
that makes sense, but no.
A lot of you maybe know Sean Baby. Sean Baby's a columnist for Cracked, and now he does a lot of editing for us as well. But if you read his column, it feels so effortless and very, very funny. But he's somebody who just he sits there with a joke for hours and will get the joke exactly perfect, and he'll construct it in such a way that it looks very flawless and effortless, like he covered his tracks. But he worked very, very hard on each individual line, and you can, I mean, it's all so beautiful and polished. I would say go read some Sean Baby stuff.
For sure, he's amazing. Yeah, being graceful and looking effortless is never
Effortless.
that.
What friend would you actually replace Daniel with if you had to in the show?
Do you assume we mean friends from the Cracked universe, or
If we could replace Daniel,
I would replace myself with Cody. I'm sticking by that. I actually think Daniel's kind of a linchpin because Daniel's character's main characteristic is he is the super nerd, which allows there to be all the information possible on the table. Like if you remove Daniel from the equation and you don't replace him with Schmitty, there's no one in the scene who can say, in the comic books, this happened. Like, it would seem less believable for any of us to have deep knowledge of, like, ulterior. And that's when the nun exploded.
Yeah, that's a joke format you can use. We're back. We're gonna. Hopefully, you can see us now.
Joshua Pugh, I'm awaiting your question.
Okay. Is lowest common denominator going to be a thing? Please say
Yes.
that it is.
Yeah, that'll be a show that I'm going to do monthly. Should be a lot of fun.
Great. DOB, how sick are you of people confusing you with your character? It's fine. Every once in a while, I think we have we shit on the Dan character a lot in the show, and I'm fine with that because I'm usually writing the
It's a
shit
fun
that
part.
we're doing.
And Blake?
And
Same
Blake, and people often in an effort to connect with me in real life, will do that to be part of the bashing, and that's.
Oh.
I understand where it's coming from. It's fine.
Do fans come up and go, "Hey, you idiot, Blake, fuck you"?
Blake is a character on a series that we have called Rom-Com. There's another series that we do called Rom-Com that's all about an internet dating website, and there's a character named Blake that Dan plays that's just gets shit on constantly.
No one has said, "Hey, you're an idiot," but they've done like the kind of anything that would go along with you guys being talking to a nerdy person, and it's not my favorite thing in the world, but I appreciate and respect that it's coming from a place of someone wanting to connect with me, so it's easy to shrug off.
For a very good meditation on the subject, see Alan Tudyk's iTunes show, Con Man. I would say we're more Sean Astin than Alan Tudyk, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think everybody knows. I mean, we know the consequences. We have a very fun job. We do a lot of really fun work, and this is what we get to do every single day, and we get a salary for it, which is insane. So one of the things that you deal with in that is that people come up to you and they treat you like they already know you, that you've been in their house before, because you have been. They've watched you so frequently, and if they want to play along, they want to play the game like everybody else in the show.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like we're all. I understand that impulse. It's what I would do with people that I watch every single day.
The alternative is people would come up to me and be mean to me at another job that wasn't.
Yeah, because you're some stranger, so they're mean to you.
Just mean to me when I was a bartender, and you can treat people that way.
Yeah. And if it's ever awkward, you just remind yourself that it's awkward because this person is such a big fan of your work that it makes them feel awkward,
very
and you're completely humbled by that.
We're fortunate that people come up to us at all. The people come up and they say, and they want to play the game that we created. That's very humbling and nice. So you do whatever you want. Just don't, physically touch us.
Yeah.
Please don't.
And if we're awkward back, we still are so appreciative of your fandom. We're just actually real normal people, so we also suck at social interaction. I think people don't give us that benefit of the doubt sometimes. They're like, "You're not on right now, but I'm talking to you."
What podcast y'all listen to?
Right now, I'm gonna start off on this one. Sorry if I'm dominating right now, but I'm a huge podcast fan as of late, especially. I've been chugging My Favorite Murder ever since Jack featured them on the Cracked podcast. I listen to all the episodes of the Cracked podcast that I'm not on. I listen to Comedy Bang Bang, of course, every episode basically religiously. It is life's dream of mine to play a wacky character on that show. So hopefully I'm just putting that out into the universe like The Secret. We all really love Song Exploder. Woo! Trying to think of any obscure ones I would want to turn people onto, but other people go.
I just like doing fake This American Life episodes.
Yeah. Limetown. Fake version of Serial.
Oh, really?
That's actually a horror narrative put out by NPR as fucking great. It's like a mini-series horror sci-fi fake version of Serial. Really
If
cool.
there's not already a Twitter feed that is just descriptions of fake This American Life chapters, there should be. Someone get on it.
Yeah,
It's a fun
yeah.
game to play. Chapter 1, people in their pets.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
If you really like Cracked, if that's appeals to your sensibilities, you should listen to most of the stuff from Gimlet. Reply All is very good. Mystery Show is very, very good. And then also from WNYC, Radio Lab. Those are all shows
Radio
that
Lab's
all
the king.
adhere to the
Yeah.
same sensibilities as Cracked, and they're awesome. They're incredible.
One that people haven't heard of as much, I was there too, is Matt Gorley's
Oh,
podcast.
Great.
yeah.
It's so good.
Where he talks to people who were in pivotal scenes of amazing movies who are not the main character by any stretch of the imagination. So he'll talk to Phil Lamar about getting his head blown off in the back of the car in Pulp Fiction, and it's fucking amazing Hollywood stories that you've never heard because no one ever bothers to interview guy that gets his head blown off in the one scene. But yeah, so check that out. Any movie you like, it's worth clicking and hearing what the random person number 2 has to say about it.
Yeah.
I also like Don't Get Me Started, which is a...
I want you to go. I want you to have a chance to
Oh,
go.
thank you. Don't Get Me Started is a podcast. Will Hines and Anthony King, they're improvisers, and
Fat Professor.
they what?
Will Hines is Fat Professor on Very Nerd.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's great.
I was like, what are you just yelling at? It is essentially they talk to a bunch of different people in the comedy community about something that they are obsessed with. And they did an episode with my best friend Caroline about Kate Bush that is really,
I love her.
really, really good. And it's just very interesting. They talk about things from true crime novels. Someone came on and did that. They did Kate Bush. One woman, Jen Kruger, is really into organizing and like planners, and so they talk about that. It's like a whole bunch of different subjects. Yeah, that's a fun one.
Two Dope Queens, Hardcore History, Limetown, special guest Lauren Lapkus. There's a world of great podcasting out there. Let's go to the next question.
Which one of you guys is the least easily offended?
I have a related answer that doesn't directly answer the question, but my offense at a joke is an equation, not a line. Meaning, if the joke is funny enough, it can take away the sting of something that would otherwise offend me, and if something's offensive enough, no punchline will make it funny. So it just depends. I've heard bad stand-up comedians deliver a mild joke about abortion and been like, this makes me cringe. And then I've heard Louis C.K. deliver a joke about sexual assault on children that is crafted so well that I laugh. So it totally depends on how good the person is that's doing it.
We're all very sensitive people. Things offend us constantly. If
three out
it's
of 20
directed at
bad.
us, then we're all very sensitive about it. Let's just assume that that's true.
Yeah.
No, I'm a
Don't-
huge bleeding heart liberal.
Don't try to find which one of us you could be meanest to.
I
we've
assume
got
they meant jokes. What jokes are over the line, though? You don't think that's what they meant?
Yeah, I'm reading into this.
I think we're getting kicked out of here soon. We've got time for one question. I got a few up here. I've got someone who wants an MS Word freestyle rap to close us out, if you have that in you. But that's a lot to throw. So we just see whether...
MS Word with this herd here at the table. We're able to answer your queries. It's very... Yeah, that's all.
All right.
Pretty good, I gotta say.
No, that was not good at all. I'm a writer rapper, not a freestyler.
We are leaving right this second. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
People
to
with
this
real
live
jobs
stream.
need the room.
We have to get out of this room now. Check out After Hours on the front page of crack.com today if you haven't already. And enjoy the rest of your day. Memorial Day is next week.
Thank you so much for sticking around for all of this. Like, we really appreciate that you actually took the time to come through.
Sorry
and watch
I
this.
talked too
See
much.
it.
I can tell from Soren's vibe.
As much as like we do bitch about things that we have to do with After Hours or things that we have to deal with in our daily lives, this is an amazing job, and we're very thankful for all of
We
you.
love you.
Great.